What is going on in this picture? What do you see? Tell your partner what you see. Okay, what's realistic about this picture?
The horse.
The horse is real. Yep, we can tell that that's a real horse. It's got shading, it's got form. What else is real? The person, yes. Okay, that's real. What else is real? The trees. Okay, so everything is real in this picture, right? Except for one thing that makes it what we call surreal. In other words, something we would not normally see. Yes. What is it? Tell me.
Like, it looks like its legs are like all twined up in the tree, and there's like a big gap in between it.
All right.
So it kind of looks like it's painted on the tree.
Okay, so the element of art that is is messed up here is space. All right, because we have something called positive space and something called negative space. And positive space is what? What would be the positive spaces here? Positive space are the items, so are the things. So for example, I'm a positive space, you're a positive space, your desk is a positive space, and the negative space is the space around the objects, right? So what have they done with the space? Generally, the space around the object is also called the background. So what have they done with the background? They've taken part of the background and put it in front of the positive spaces, right? So essentially what they've done is they've taken some of the negative spaces and put them in front of the positive spaces. And that makes for a very crazy picture, right? All right, now I want you to turn another illusion. Uh-oh, I hope it's close by. Illusion depth. I believe it's on page, darn it, I thought it was right next to this one. Here it is, on page 103. Now there's two pictures that have the same shapes, but they're colored differently. Now, how many of you, what do you see? Tell your partner when you look at the first picture on the left. This one right here. What do you see? What did you see first? Tell the people that, I want to hear some whispering, talking. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, how many of you said a face? Two faces. How many of you said you saw a vase or a chalice? Okay. All right, and how about the other one? How many of you saw the faces first? How many of you saw the chalice or the goblet? Okay, so I'm getting various answers. Different people saw different things. And so that's exactly what the artist is doing here, is messing with you in terms of what's the positive space and what's the negative space. So that's what we're working on today. Why does it matter? Oh, another thing. I'm gonna do one more thing. We're looking at two-dimensional objects. Let's look at a three-dimensional object, which is a sculpture on the other page, 102. And sculptures, generally, you have the sculpture which is solid. Where's my pig? My pig trophy's way back there. So, hold on, YouTube. Why do we care about positive space and negative space? Well, a sculptor cares about it because the space around the object. Let's see if we can get this little guy in here. The picture. I have no idea where this guy came from. Okay, but I know it's probably some kind of fertility god or something. It's been here ever since I've been to Linn-mar, and I don't know. I've kind of grown fond of this little guy. But anyway, so it's important to think about the positive space, which is the item, but it's also important to think about the space around that. And this particular sculpture, the artist is dealing with that by making negative spaces within a solid frame. But what matters is, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said to me, I don't know what to put in the background. Have you ever made a picture and you're finished with the picture, you spent hours and hours with it, maybe it's a portrait, maybe it's a still life or something, and then you go, I don't know what to do with the background. Happens over and over and over again. So it's important to think about the negative space, because that is part of the picture just as much as the positive space or whatever you put in your picture. So that's something that's really important to think about. Here's another one where the Escher print, I think a lot of you analyzed that one. You know, they're playing with space here and creating illusions by messing with the positive and negative. All right, so what are you going to do for your assignment today? What you're going to do in your book is you're going to create, I'm going to show you the examples first. Oh, and here is a lovely, let me zoom out a little bit. This is the one I was looking for the other day. I know I'm shifting gears, but this is a lovely intensity scale. I thought that somebody did. All right, so the positive space is going to be, where is your positive space? Here it is. Okay, so let's look at, I need a colored sheet of paper. You're going to create in your book, now so what has she created here, a positive space or a negative space? Here's her page. What is this? Tell your partner, what? What part's positive? What? Okay, is the spider there, really, in reality? No. So this would be what? An example of the negative space. All right? And then this, what would this be? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Yes, positive. Okay? And note with the positive, you've got to have some way of connecting it to your book or it's going to fall out. And it was interesting, the two examples, I have examples at home. That's why I've written on my hand journal, because there's a journal at home I usually have here. And I took it home for the summer and I forgot to bring it back. But the two of the journals from former students I have, interestingly enough, did the same objects. And he did his a little bit differently. Monochromatic, okay. And he did the positive space, and he's written the definition on here, which is what I want you to do. And then he also did the negative space, which is the spider. So then when you put the web on top, now what would make this even more effective, I think, is if there was some color here. So if I chose to, when you cut this out, you're going to need to put the definitions, and then you're going to, you could color this page if you wanted to. You could watercolor over it, and then it's going to stand out a lot more than if you just do the print. It gets kind of lost. But that's where we're headed. Okay, so how do you do that? Here's what you need to do for your notes. The definition, okay. All right, for the positive shape space, the definition is just shapes and forms. Okay, so that's how you're going to label your positive space, and I'm going to show you how to make a positive space in just a minute. Okay, so write this down. The first thing you want to do is glue a minimum of 3 pages together and let it dry. This is probably not something you want to do today, but you might want to glue it together and let it dry. And so I did that ahead of time, and the reason why you want to do that is because if you just use one sheet of paper, it's gonna tear and rip. It's not gonna hold up. So hopefully by now, the pages that I glued together are dry. I did that first thing this morning. Here they are. And so it's going to be a little bit thicker. These are 3 pages where I just glued them together and now they're dry. Then you're going to take a piece of cardboard, which, oh shoot, I don't have available. So you're going to take a piece of cardboard. I will have some thinner cardboard for you. And you are going to draw your positive space. And I'm going to demonstrate with a really simple one. Now the thing is, if you do a positive shape, it needs to be connected somehow to your binding. If you put it in the middle here, it's going to fall out. So whatever you do has to be connected. So for example, if I'm going to do the shape of a house, I could do this. Maybe, what? I don't like that. I'm going to change it. All right, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it just a, well, I can do that. Maybe I'll do a house with a missing door. Anyway, you get the idea. Then, and the blades I keep up here, please be very, very careful with the blades. You have to come up and get one. I like to know where they are. There was one right here. Where'd it go? Now, notice I've got cardboard underneath so I don't cut through to my other pages. And then very carefully, watch where your hand is. Don't put your hand right here and cut. Not a good idea. We've all done it, right? So I picked a very simple shape so as not to spend a lot of your time. Now, along here, to get that part, you'll have to cut down here. And then you will cut this way and take that piece out, and then this way, cut this. I'm going to make several cuts. Now if you're really having a hard time cutting, it may be because you have a dull blade. I have replacement blades, so if you're having a hard time cutting, let me know and I will replace the blade for you. Okay, so there is my number 25. Am I doing the right number? Okay, so 25. Now I've got this nice little picture here, so I should probably leave that there just because it's cool. So, I'm going to do 25. That's my number. Most of you are doing a good job by now. Positive space. And then the definition, very simply, the positive space definition. And some of you are still misspelling that, so watch your spelling. Definition is just shapes and forms. Anything that's a shape or a form is a positive space. I guess you could call a line a positive space as well. Shapes and forms. So this is a shape because it's flat, right? Okay, so that's number 25. You can color it, you can do all kinds of things. I do want you to label it though somehow, so figure out how to work that into the design. Now, I glued another 3 pages together, right here. This is for number 26. So I'm going to make another house, but this time, when I'm doing the negative, I don't have to have it attached at the binding, or at the, yeah, that's the binding, I guess. So I could go ahead and, if I want to do the same shape, I can just put it in the middle. Whoops. That was a straight line. Not. Okay, then go ahead and, I've already lost my blade. There it is. Go ahead and cut it out. Now, if you wanted to do a window, it would fall out. So let's say I want to do a window. I'm just going to show you real quickly. You're going to have a positive, if you're going to have a negative shape within, oopsie, I've already screwed it up. You're going to have to do something to connect that so it doesn't fall out. Yeah. So for example, I want this to stay in here as part of the positive shape, or part of the negative shape, yeah. I've got to have a connector there. And lots of times it's just easier to do short cuts. So if I want this to remain in here, I've got to somehow connect it. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. Kind of a funky little thing. But I don't have to. It can just be, so that's if there's like, for example, here, this is a trophy that my dad made, that my dad won. Whoops, upside down. Okay. It's a pig trophy. He didn't know what to do with it, so I took it, but I'm trying to angle it so you can see it. All right, if I was doing the pig and I wanted this to be the negative space, I'd have to somehow connect it. So that's when you've got holes in your shape. I don't think I'm explaining that very well right now. I have a great example at home that I'd show you if I could, but maybe tomorrow, because most of you will have to let this dry. So if you can figure out what page, you can go ahead and glue your pages together. So if there's a negative space within, I know the best example, and I have an example with the scissors. Where are scissors? If I was going to do a shape like this, okay, I can go around like this, but if I cut this out, it's going to fall out. So that's where you have to put connectors like that. I'm just going to take it out for now. I don't really care about it. Okay, so now I've got, this is the positive space, right? And then this is going to be, this is the same shape, but now it's the negative shape. So this is a house without a door. Okay, this is the space around the house. This is the space around the house without a door. So this is an empty space. So that's going to be number 26. And here's how you label it. 26 will be negative space and 28 one of the best definitions I actually got from a student, so I changed the definition. How am I going to write this? The definition I want you to use is a space created by the, I'm being a little creative with my layout here, absence of a shape or a form. So for this assignment, you have both your definition and your application on the same page. Make sense? And you can do stuff on the back if you want to. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. Any questions? That is it for today.